sure something you could have done there at home or on the farm to be here tonight. But we've got two of our best specialists, and we think that it's worth giving them some time and some consideration. So thank you for being here. I want to thank Art Sebastian for making his farm available to us tonight. He's been getting things all ready and shined up and cattle up, and so he's been working really hard.
And you get these cobwebs.
Yeah, there's a few cobwebs. All right, sure, we could take care of those. That would have made a big difference. But anyway, first speaker is Dr. Les Anderson. Les is University of Kentucky animal science, animal and food science extension reproduction specialist. And Les is going to give us a talk, and then we're going to go over here and
Yeah, we're going to kind of bounce back and forth a little bit.
okay.
What we're going to talk about this evening is management strategies to not ensure, but at least help you establish a successful breeding season. Wanted to incorporate a little bit of hands-on with a little bit of lecture. So if y'all bear with me, we'll do a little bit over here, and then we'll go over there, and then we'll come back over here, and then we'll go back over there. Okay? Maybe that'll keep everybody alert and ready to go. One of the things that I always like to start with is, in the title, a successful breeding season. Well, what in the Sam Hill is that? Right? I mean, everybody has a different definition. And actually, my opinion on what a successful breeding season varies quite a bit on the normal person here in the state of Kentucky. I know Charlie and Dean and these guys all know that I spend a lot of time out with cows and with producers in the state of Kentucky, and have for the last 15 years. And this is what the normal herd in Kentucky looks like. Okay? Number one, bulls in all the time. Calve year round. Okay? I'm sure you guys have all been to the meetings where we've used the little clickers so you can answer a question and the audience response pops up. I've done this several times over the last 2 or 3 years. About 65% of the people that are at our extension meetings calve year round. Okay? Our normal pregnancy rates, is 75 to 80%. Now I'm going to have to explain that a little bit, because this is where I get a lot of folks arguing with me, and it's about the definition of successful breeding. Well, every cow calved last year. Okay? Well, is she calving on a 365-day interval? Right? Okay? Because she might have calved in March, and then calved in April, then calved in May, then calved in July, then calved in September, then calved in October. So she's calving every year for several years, but is she successfully reproducing? Okay? You'll see some data, and I'll challenge you a little bit, that every day after that 365 days, you're losing about $4 a head in today's current market situation. So we're going to put a lot of pressure on you guys to think about getting that calving interval at 365 days. And when you look at that 365-day calving interval, that's when we get about 75 to 85% of our cows pregnant. Okay? It's when we let them drag on that more and more of them eventually do end up getting pregnant. Calf death loss in normal years, 5 to 7%. Everybody loved March this year, right? Perfect month of the year for calving. Cold and wet. That is awful in March. I mean, I've only been here 15 years, but it was awful. Okay, I will bet, and Michelle, our death loss is probably twice that this year with cows calving in March.
Yeah.
I'd say 10% would easily catch it. Might push it up a little bit higher than that. Okay, and then therefore, if you just subtract that, or that from that, the percent of our cows that we expose to the bull that actually wean a calf is somewhere in that 70 to 75%. Any other business, any other opportunity, if only 70 to 75% of your producing units are returning you income, you're going to be losing money. Okay? And that's really where we are in the cattle business a lot, is that we're down here in this area where we're losing money. And so what my goal is tonight is to give you guys some ideas on how to push that up so that we can get closer to what my definition of a successful breeding season is. Okay? I'd love for all the females to calve in a 75 to 90 day window. To be honest with you, I'd love them all to calve in 40 days. Okay? But I'm going to be a little bit more conservative and say 75 to 90. IRM data indicates from other states that you need pregnancy rates and percent calf crop wean at around 90% or better to profit. So our goal is to get your percent calf crop wean, your pregnancy rates up high enough that we're going to be able to profit. Okay? So how do we get there? What are some of the things that we need to pay attention to help move our breeding season forward? Well, the first thing is we got to get control of the breeding and calving season. And David, that's a couple more hours worth of lecture. We're going to skip that. Okay? So, and I might have to come back here and grab a hold of the screen because as the breeze picks up, we're going to get a little bit wavier, okay? But pretending, I guess, that we're on sort of a cycle with our cows, what are some of the things that we got to do to make sure that they're successful, okay, when we breed? And actually, it begins at weaning, okay? If you're a fall calver, I'm sure you've weaned or getting ready to wean or you're thinking about weaning. Okay, some of you may wean as late as June, but for those fall calvers, you're at an optimum time to really begin to prepare your cows for successful breeding next fall. What we want you to do at weaning every year is to perform and record body condition score. Okay? Everybody knows, I'm sure knows what a body condition score is, but it's just a number from 1 to 9 that tells you how much fat is on the cow. Okay? Each condition score equals about 75 pounds in body weight. In really large frame cows, it'll be 100 pounds, but for most of our cows, it's going to be about 75 pounds. And we want to obtain and record these body weights so that we can figure out how much weight our cows need to gain, if at all, between weaning and calving. Okay? The reason we want to stress it in that time period is that's the time period in the cow's productive life where her nutrient needs are the lowest, and it's the cheapest and easiest to feed them. Okay? Poor nutrition and low body condition score pre-calving, okay, so from that weaning to pre-calving window, increases calving problems. That's something that a lot of people actually disagree with, that they're wrong on. If you underfeed a cow to keep the calf smaller, you actually increase the probability that you're going to have calving problems. Okay, the calves are a little smaller, but the cow has no energy. And she doesn't put as much fight into that calving. And so you end up pulling a higher percentage of the cows. You will have a decrease in calf health and vigor, and thus an increase in calf death loss. The main thing when it comes to reproduction and successful breeding is that it delays rebreeding because it increases the number of days it takes for a cow to recycle. Okay? We call that period where she's not cycling the anestrus period, an meaning no estrus. And typically it ranges anywhere from 60 to 75 days in most of our commercial cows. And the longer you push that anestrus period, the longer it takes to get that cow rebred and the more money it's costing.
Unless with the poor nutrition is poor quality colostrum. Big factor.
Huge factor. And then if you go back to this wonderful March that we just got out of, when the calf cold and wet and the colostrum stinks, calf's going to struggle. I mean, that's just part of biology. Okay. Up here is 2 cows in different body condition scores. These happen to be down at Princeton. I know Dr. Arnold probably recognizes the scenery. Okay, here on your left is a cow that's in a body condition score 3. Okay? The way we determine body condition score is we look at the sharpness here in the shoulders, over the ribs, over the backbone, both the bones that stick up and the bones that stick out. Right here at the hook bones, here at the pins, okay? And up in the brisket area. Okay, and what you're looking for is smoothness. Okay? What you really don't want to see is bone and sharp bone. Okay, and really the demarcation or the split is in that body condition score 4 versus 5. Is a 5 is a cow that has just enough fat that you can't see her ribs. Okay? And that's really that break point that we're looking for. She's smooth. As you can, I mean, just look at the cow here. She's a condition score 6. Smooth over the hooks. Got a little bit of fat on the pins. You're not going to see when she walks and she moves. You're not going to see any fat, or I mean any ribs. Here, there's fat covering those ribs. She's got a little bit of fat in her brisket, and you're not going to see a real sharp. See how you can see a sharpness of the shoulder? Okay, you're not going to see that in a cow that's properly conditioned to rebreed. Yes, sir.
Question, we do shorthorn, registered shorthorn,
Mm-hmm.
bigger body, you know, normally condition score 6. And when you start looking at the two frames and all this, you know, the one on the right, definitely our cattle, 90% of them are there, but I've had ancestors go consistently 60 to 90 days instead of like the 40 to 50 approximation on there. But I mean, it's with all of them. Every cow seems to do that. And then at 90 days, if I want to put an embryo in on a transplant, I can put a seeder in and I'm there, it'll bring it right back.
Yep.
But on the natural, I'm at about 90 days. I've tried.
Cow's milk pretty good?
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, your cow's milk heavier than normal cows?
Some of them do, yes.
You know, typically, you know, the more energy that cow's body demands, even though she's in a higher flesh, it'll take her a little bit longer to rebreed. Because, yeah, if you just think about, you know, the cow's brain senses when she has enough energy in her body to rebreed. Okay? And so cows that are working really hard, typically take a little bit longer.
Because we take all those cows and bring them in, and after they calve, they go on a nutrition program to get prepared for the breeding. So we just don't put them back in the field with the bull. It just depends on what we want to do with it.
One thing that could help you too, and we'll talk about cedars because that's obviously a huge.
That's my thing.
Yeah, exactly. But another thing you can do is if you've got a pin that you can run your bulls in, that's right next to the pin where your cows are at, and you got a good fence. Just the exposure of the cows to the bull, the male pheromones, the hormones, will actually induce a cow to cycle back quicker. Okay, so they call that fence line exposure. They have distance where they can see each other, interact, but not obviously get together.
Because we do worry about that step month.
Yep.
September, October, November each year.
Yep.
And you don't want to keep it going because you're losing every time.
Yeah, you lose every time. That's exactly right. In your normal commercial cows, crossbred commercial cows that are body condition score 3, you're going to see a 4 to 5 month delay in rebreeding. Okay, so that anestrus period will be 4 to 5 months from when she calves to when she starts to cycle. And in your commercial cows, where your body condition score 6, your anestrus is going to be much shorter. 40 to 50 days might be a little bit of an exaggeration on the bottom. Okay, you might just see 40 to 50% of your cows that short. But for sure, the body condition score 6 by 70, 75 days, most of them will be breeding. Okay. Your pregnancy potential here. Okay, again, hoping that we keep some sort of limit on our calving season, is only about 20%. Your pregnancy potential here on these body condition score 6 cows is about 90%. Okay? And I think what I'm going to do, I planned on running over there and doing some body condition score now, but we'll just do it all at the same time when I show you how to put the cedar in. Okay? So our goal, pre-calving, All mature cows that are weaning a calf will be in a body condition score 5 or greater by next calving. The reason is the research demonstrates that as those cows are heavier conditioned at calving, the more likely they are to rebreed. Here's your pregnancy right here. Big split is between 4 and 5. But in my mind, this 10% is pretty important too. I like to see cows in excess of 5. Okay? The data are clear. And then, there's 1,100 cows here. Not the only trial that was done. For our first calf heifers, and this is a 2-year-old that's getting ready to drop her first calf, we got to get a little bit more fat on them. They need to calve in a condition score 6. So if we go back to here, they need to be fleshy. Okay? They need to be fleshy to be able to rebreed. Body condition score, the number of cows in each group. Pregnancy rate, you can see a huge split between 5 and 6. And the percent of cows that conceived, okay, based upon body condition score. And their days to pregnancy, okay. Well, here, I guess the days to pregnancy wasn't that much. But, I see what happened. It split on me. That's the number of cows. There was a pretty good split on days to pregnancy too. Okay? So, after each cow is scored and the body conditions, what we want for body condition score, what we want to do is we want to figure out how much weight they got to gain and put them on a program to get them to gain weight. The most efficient method is to sort your thin cows. Okay? Maybe not all of us have more than one pasture. But if you have a way that you can sort your thin cows off and feed them to their needs, that'll be a more efficient manner to get your cows to the proper body condition score. Okay? Remember, it takes 75 pounds per body condition score, so if you wean on November 1st and calving starts March 1st, you got 90 days. Okay? That's not right. Got about 120 days to get those cows to add 75 pounds. Okay? Other post-weaning and pre-calving tips, you want to vaccinate. I like to vaccinate at weaning for lepto and argiobovis, mainly, and Dr. Arnold was telling me today that a lot of the argiobovis vaccines now are very long-acting, so you may not need to do this. But I like to hit them with lepto at weaning because we just see, particularly when you got high deer populations, and if they have access to ponds and creeks and whatnot, you're going to have more lepto-induced abortions. Dr. Arnold will talk extensively about all that stuff later. Deworm them, and make sure your mineral program is good. Okay? You need at least 1/2 of your copper in your mineral to be from the chelated form. Okay? So you need it in the organic form. And in my opinion, the same for selenium. Okay? Otherwise, consider an injection. One of the products that's available is called Multimin. There's actually some pretty good data in beef cattle in large numbers that show you can get a fairly significant boost in preg rates with an injection, a mineral injection, at weaning, and then about 60 days pre-breeding. Okay, so some of them will still not have calved by then, but that mineral injection has been shown to actually be very beneficial. Post-weaning for your heifers, so the heifers you just have weaned, select your oldest, heaviest heifers for replacement. Again, vaccinate those. And then Dr. Arnold will talk about that. Deworm. And then manage those heifers so that they reach about 2/3 of their body weight about 30 days before you breed them. Okay? Optimum body condition score 30 days before you expose them to the bulls, about 5 to 5.5. Okay? During the calving issue, minimize calving problems as much as possible. There's been a lot of research, and obviously in calving done, and there's just a couple of facts based upon on that research. For every hour a cow is in intense labor, okay, it takes her 4 days longer to rebreed. I always tell this story. When I was a kid, grew up on a large ranch. One of my jobs, so I had pastures before I went to school that I had to check. The method we did that is we fed a little range cube. We went out, we hollered for the cows. The ones that came up obviously weren't calving. The ones that didn't come up, I wrote them down. I knew, you know which cows are there. Left that on the table, went to school. Came back, did the same thing. Now this is between 1976 and 1986. Okay, a little different world back then when it comes to calving needs. Okay, didn't have that much emphasis on calving needs. And there were many times that I remember the cows that I wrote down here, 8 hours later, still were in the calving process. Okay?
So were you in high school for 10 years?
No. Some of us work before we get into high school.
Let's try to do that.
My dad made me drive a tractor when I was 6. So, I mean, counting, just writing cow number down, pretty easy job. But anyhow, 8 hours, and not all of them were in intense labor for the whole 8 hours. But, for those of you that were calving cows back then, it was different than it is now. It happened, we had a lot more calving difficulties. And 8 hours in intense labor is 32 days longer before they rebreed. Okay? That's a significant amount of money. Conception rate increases by 16% if females are assisted early within 90 minutes. Okay? So you can greatly enhance the ability of that cow to rebreed if you just go ahead and get it over with. I mean, you're going to have to pull it anyway. Yeah, right? I mean, most of the time you can sense when you're going to have to pull it. Just pull it. It's a stressful thing. Just get it out. Pull the calf.
If it goes over 30 minutes, jerk it out.
I like to get it out. Okay? This is a story back in that time, David. I mean, I literally had the guy that had Dare Bullock's job at the University of Missouri, actually in an extension meeting, said that if you weren't pulling at least 10% of your calves, you weren't using a big enough bull. Different world. Now at that moment, my dad said, "You got to be flipping kidding me," and we got up and left because we didn't like the bull calves, but it was just a different mindset back in those days. Post calving, you've got to increase the energy and protein available to those cows. Their energy and protein requirements go up 25 to 30% after calving. Okay, so we've done a good job. We've got them to body condition score 5 to 6 before calving. We did a really good job and we didn't have to pull the calf. Now the real job begins, and that's trying to maintain or do the best we can to maintain some body condition score in that cow. They're going to lose weight, okay? But do the best job you can to provide them the nutrients they need so that they can recycle. Poor nutrition and low body condition score after calving reduces milk production, extends anestrus a little bit, reduces conception rate sometimes pretty dramatically, up to 20%. Okay? But you think, okay, well, what's that mean? All right, a little math. Okay, I know this is a biology, but a little math. Say you got 100 cows, and every one of them are coming into heat. They're all cycling. Okay, if your conception rate is 70%, how many cycles does it take to get all 90% of those cows bred? Or more than 90%, because that's our goal, right? So we got 100, and they all come and eat the first time. 70% of them get bred, so we get 70 of them, right? Push them over here. Got 30 left. They come back into heat because they didn't get pregnant. 21 of those conceive. 70 and 21 is 91. 2 cycles. If you synchronize, you get it done in 30 days. If you didn't synchronize, it's about 40 days, 45 days. So in 45 days, if conception rate is 70% and they're all cycling, You should get more than 90% of your cattle bred. Well, what if it's 35%? Okay, that's 7 cycles. That's 145, 6 days. It's 5 months. So decreasing body condition score and poor nutrition, even in cows that calved in great shape, reduces conception rate and reduces the ability of those cows to rebreed. Pre-breeding, the vaccinate, again, I'm going to leave that one to Dr. Arnold. Deworm, have all your herd bulls subjected to a breeding soundness exam. Please. I mean, I literally just went to a farm a couple of days ago where they were either AI or open. Because he turned in a bull that he'd been using and had been good, but wasn't any longer, and he didn't get a BSE on it. I do this multiple times a year where that's exactly what happens. Okay? The breeding soundness exam is just insurance. It's a $50 to $75 investment and it's a risk management tool. Okay? It doesn't always identify lowly fertile bulls, but it 100% identifies infertile bulls. So the one that's not going to get anything bred, it'll identify. Okay? Contact your local veterinarian. Get a BSE done on your bulls. Okay? It'll be really good money spent. For your heifers, breed your heifers 14 to 30 days before the cows. Thing I like about this the most is it isolates their calving season. I've managed 3 farms before I got down here, and one of the most exciting days in the cattle business is the first day of the calving season, right? The first calf that hits the ground, because it's just fun. But after that first couple weeks, it gets to be work, right? And by if it's dragging on 3 months, you don't even look at them anymore. Okay? And so when you got your energy and you got your passion and you've got your interest, it'd be nice to have the group of cattle that are calving at that time. Okay? So I really like the fact that it isolates that early in the calving season, and I'm convinced that you actually lose fewer calves. And also it increases the number of days for these young females to return to heat. Okay, we were talking about the normal cow. It takes her 60 to 80, 90 days to recycle. A 2-year-old, just add 30. So you're looking at 90 to 120. I've seen 2-year-olds at 6 months after they calved still weren't cycling. Okay? So if you give them a little bit more time, you're going to get a higher percentage of them cycling early in the breeding season, and you're going to improve your preg rates. Okay? Here's one people don't like much, but I'm going to throw it out at you anyway. Breed them for a very limited time frame. I synchronize everything. I'm going to give you all some protocols in a little bit to use with your bulls. If you synchronize them in 30 days, they've got 2 heats. And in my opinion, if they can't get bred in 2 heats, you don't want them. Okay? If you look at data, look at records, 2-year-old yearlings, okay, that get bred late and then calve late, are the ones that end up either being open or your fall calving cows next year. Okay? So why delay your issues with these heifers? Cut that breeding season down. If they don't make it, sell them into CPA sale. Very tight, very short breeding season for your heifers. All females, I absolutely, and we're going to spend the rest of the time talking about synchronizing estrus. Because in my opinion, you're ignoring the single biggest thing that's going to make you money. And that's controlling heat in these animals. You will increase pregnancy rates over the normal. It will shift your calving distribution. We've done this a million times across the state. You'll see a 20 to 21 day increase in the average age of your calves. Okay? 20 days, you're looking at 50 pounds. Right? Just because they're older. Calf weaning weights will go up, calf uniformity goes up. For your heifers, for your yearling heifers, I think it's smart to consider AI. Okay? We have to reduce calving issues as much as possible. And the best way to do that is to AI. Synchronization for natural service. We've done these, Charlie, for I don't know how long. I mean, these programs have been around. Feed them MGA or put a cedar in these animals for 7 days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that's 7 days. Turn the bull out on Tuesday. Okay? These drugs or these products are progesterones or progestins. And what they do when you give them to the animal is it imitates the corpus luteum. Okay, and basically it just tricks the brain of the cow into thinking that they're cycling. Okay, that cow's brain senses the hormone in the blood, which comes from a different part of the body normally. And when it sees that hormone, okay, it knows that it's supposed to be cycling. And then when that hormone goes away, that's the biological trigger for the animal to come into heat. Okay, and it's very effective at doing that. Typically, we do a 7-day treatment of these progestins. You can do it a little longer if you want. If you know that they're anestrus, longer doesn't matter. But again, it tricks the cow into thinking that she's supposed to be in heat. MGA is an orally active progestin. If you feed it at 0.5 milligram per head per day, you will very effectively give that animal hormone in her blood. Okay? Her brain will recognize that hormone as semi-normal, and when you remove the MGA from the feed, it will stimulate her to come into heat. Since it's orally active, you got to make sure that the cattle are eating it. Okay? That may seem stupid, but I've been on lots of farms where the MGA didn't work, and when you go through what was going on, what was happening is he wasn't doing a very good job of getting the MGA to his cattle. Okay? It's been around literally since the late 50s, and it's available in a lot of different feed types. Now, I used to say in most feed stores, but I've come to find out that over this way, it's really not available in most feed stores. So you're probably going to have to ask for it. Cedar, and actually we'll show you how to put cedars in just a little bit. It's a T-shaped plastic device, okay, and I'll show you. When you rub the outside of it, this little white powder will come off. That's the hormone progesterone. The actual, literal, normal, natural hormone. MGA is a synthetic hormone, so it's man-made. When you insert the cedar, and you'll see how we do it, you bend up the wings, you put it in the applicator, you put a little lube on, wipe the vulva, stick it into the anterior vagina, push the plunger, the wings catch, the body fluids of the animal then soak up the hormone. The cool thing about the cedar is the animal's brain sees the natural hormone at natural levels. And that's what makes it so effective. I mean, it's literally the perfect hormone product because it mimics nature exactly. When you're ready for the cow to come and eat, pull the screen. Okay? Just some data. There's only 2,000 head in this little simple table, but I've got data on about 10,000, truthfully, and it's all the same. You see about an 8 to 10% increase in preg rate, and you'll see a shift in the cows that calve in the first 30 days by 40%. Okay. First question that always comes is, well, I got to buy more bulls. My bulls can't handle all that. Number one, the average bull can breed 11 cows a day. Okay, most people don't realize that. The normal average bull can breed 11 cows a day. Most of us don't have big enough herds and big enough breeding situations with our animals where you're going to have more than 11 in a day on multiple days. Okay? In this trial, we ran bull to cow ratios from 1 to 23 all the way up to 1 to 42. Okay? In the farm that had 1 to 42, we had a 91% preg rate, which happened to be equal to the rest of the group. Statistics that we ran on that trial demonstrated that there was no difference in bull to cow ratio in this trial. Okay? Don't need to change the bull to cow ratios, but I want you to use your head. Okay? Don't buy a 15-month-old bull that's never bred a cow and turn him out with 20 heifers you just synchronized. Okay? It's not smart. I say it because it happens all the time. When people do, oh, you didn't get any of them cows bred. Number one, they didn't BSE the bull. Okay, again, Stu. Number two, they overdid a young bull. Okay? Mature bulls, bull 18 months or older, and have seen one season's experience, no problems. Young bulls, find a favorite, jump to head, jump to side. Yeah, you guys have all seen it. They're not efficient. Okay? And so let's avoid those 15-month-old bulls that have not seen any cows. Make sure they're structurally correct, because you're going to put a little bit of pressure on them. By God, make sure they pass a doggone BSE. I get so aggravated about this. It's $50, yeah, and $50 is a lot of money. But the guy that I checked, he had a little over 40 cows. Okay? Had 23 of them that weren't going to calve. That's a whole lot more than $50. Okay? It's just insurance that you're not going to have a total wreck. Thank goodness the AI. Okay? Also, there's some data that shows that make sure that the bull has a 35 centimeter scrotum or greater as a year. Okay? First time we did this was at the Eden Shale Farm, Dr. Arnold, a long time ago when we actually had cattle there and were doing stuff. Okay? We saw a 15% increase in preg rate there, 40.4 extra pounds of calf at weaning.